So let's talk about Erika Kirk's not so subtle praise of JD Vance that has so many people raising their eyebrows, scratching the side of their heads, and definitely coming up with speculations because the whispers about JD's wife, Usha Vance, who is a Hindu, and I'm let's just be real. A lot of people in this MAGA group of haters really despise anyone who is not white and a Christian. And of course, that's the Christian way, right? But a lot of people are saying that she is not happy in this marriage, and also the fact that she's been forced to be in a position that she's extremely uncomfortable with. While a lot of people in that MAGA community are really questioning JD's pick to marry a woman who, one, is not a white woman, and two, is not a Christian. So social media is definitely going wild with a lot of theories. So we have to talk about this. So let's just go ahead and get into it. What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the podcast and the channel. Listen, I know I'm a little late getting to this, but listen, I'm getting into it now. I have seen this. I have been just scratching the side of my head and saying something ain't right about this. But listen, over here, we already talked a little bit about Erica Kirk and how it to me, and I also feel like a lot of other people, she just seemed all too eager to really get back into this limelight, into the spotlight. And also, it just seemed like she was not really grieving the loss of her husband, and a lot of the things that she did immediately after, it was questionable at best. And while I said, yeah, people grieve differently and we know this, it's just some things that just don't sit right with me and a lot of other people. So we know she's the widow of this so-called conservative, and these days, I feel like the conservative title is just a con. But anyway, conservative activist, okay, Charlie Kirk. And she's been at the center of attention and definitely the center of a lot of viral conversations lately. But this one right here, I feel like it could top them all. Now, after appearing at a recent political event where she praised JD Vance, okay, even though she was announcing him to come to the stage, it was just a bit too much. It was a little bit too passionate and definitely a little bit too personal. Viewers noticed the chemistry. And yeah, some people have made some AI fakes that some honestly are a bit comical, but the chemistry just did not look professional. It was extremely personal. And there has been body language analysis, reaction to the clips, and now the rumor mill is about Usha being unhappy in her marriage, especially with some comments that JD made recently about her religion and her beliefs. So here she is right here at a Turning Point USA event where she was announcing this creepy vice president, and apparently they have a similar affinity for eyeliner. Let's just go ahead and get into this video clip.
No one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do. And that's why I'm so blessed to be able to introduce him tonight, because he understands the fight that we're up against. And he can articulate that in a way that transcends. He's an amazing man.
That's weird. You know what I mean? This person who shared this video on Twitter said, "Love is in the air within just 1 month of husband's death. No one will ever replace Charlie, but I do see some similarities of my husband and JD." Vice President JD Vance, says Erika Kirk, widow of Charlie Kirk. The words were completely out of place, and the person said, much like her leather pants. But This is the thing, guys. When it comes to Erica, like I told you guys, I don't believe that she was a grieving widow ever. I really believe that I'm not saying she was happy what happened to him in terms of the actual event that took him out of here. I'm not saying that she was wishing for, hoping for something like that to happen to him, but I'm sorry, you cannot convince me that she was upset that he was no longer in her life. One, we know that she was older than him. We knew she had her aspirations in politics, and he was definitely one of those people that felt like the women should be barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. And she is one of those people that loves to be on the forefront. She believes that she is intelligent. She believes that she has the education and the skills and all of that to do a lot of the things that her husband was doing. So it's like, why do I have to be in the background while play the foreground? What, like, what's up with that? But for the sake of this so-called religion thing that they are pushing, they're trying to make it seem like, yeah, the man is supposed to be like all things to all women, and women are just supposed to be subservient and submitting and having the babies and raising the children, and making sure that the food is ready when they come home, and all this other bull crap that's just like so long ago. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with if people have traditional marriages, as long as there's respect and both parties are submitting to what each other need. I don't have a problem with that. I don't. I'm not a Christian. I'm not labeling myself to be in that religion or anything like that. I do believe in God and all of that, but a lot of this bull crap that these people are pushing is just not realistic. All right. So you see the video of her saying what she said about JD, and the body language, and just not even just the body language but the words. What kind of speech is that to announce this man to come and speak at the podium, talking about you see similarities of your deceased husband in JD Vance, and saying no one will ever replace my husband, but I see so that's something you say about someone that you're dating, they're courting you, they're crushing on you, you're crushing on them, you're trying to still be in this state of being a widow, but yet you're living, so you have to continue to live and move on with your life. So to make other people feel comfortable with the decisions that you're going to make, because yes, people are going to judge, then you start bringing up your deceased husband so that people will feel more comfortable with you being with this person. To me, I wouldn't be surprised if they're already screwing each other. I'm just saying that's my personal opinion, and I am entitled to it. All right. Of course, none of this is confirmed, and public perception is definitely powerful. But in these political circles where family image is supposed to be everything, a lot of this stuff that's in the front is fake. I do not believe that JD Vance and his wife are in a happy marriage. I don't. And he didn't have to say anything about her religion for me to believe that they are not in a happy marriage. That woman never looks happy. I didn't know a whole lot about him before, you know, 45/47 picked his puppet to be his number two, because let's be clear, all he is a puppet. This is the man that said that 45/47 is America's next Hitler. And he was actually right about that. He was right about that. So JD Vance, he has let it be known his frustrations with his wife's religion, her choice to have this Hindu faith, which I believe she was born into, when he's supposed to be this white evangelical Christian. So to have two different so-called faiths under one roof and in the same marriage, it really is hard. Like, let's be clear, that's not an easy thing to do. But for his religion, it's all about the public perception and politics. It's not about what he really believes in. Because trust and believe, these turning point people, these MAGA people, they do not follow the tenets of the Bible. Nothing that they are doing right now expresses love and compassion. They don't follow in the way of Jesus. It's just nothing of the sort. It's all about power and control and white power and we are up here and you all are subservient, and if we allow you to continue to be here, you have to just go with the flow and go along to get along. And they can express hatred in their actions. They want people to give birth to babies, but they don't want babies to be taken care of if they're born into poverty. So screw you, screw your food stamps, screw your public housing, screw anything you need that will allow you to be able to live comfortably, because none of these people are becoming millionaires off of SNAP benefits. Okay. But I'm just saying, all of this stuff that they're doing in the public is just it's just public perception. But I believe that these two got a thing going on. JD Vance and Mrs. Kirk, they got a thing going on, in my personal opinion. Now, this is obviously AI and a fake, but let me tell you something. The crazy things that people can do with AI is just like crazy. But this is what a lot of people see or saw when they saw Erika announcing JD Vance coming to the stage. And I honestly could not be shocked if he and his current wife wind up getting divorced and then he winds up with this chick. I would not be surprised. I wouldn't. With the creepy aspirations of wanting to be president, and then there were people at like honestly almost immediately after Charlie Kirk's life was taken, talking about this woman either running for office or maybe at some point becoming someone's first lady. People were actually saying that. So it's just disgusting. Let me get this creepy stuff off of the screen. It's gross. But I was just saying, when I saw that, yeah, at first it was laughable, but yet and still I'm just like, yeah, this is what a lot of people are feeling like, that the time that they're on. This I could not be more than shocked if it came out that these two were doing some things with each other. The speech that she gave, it was extremely inappropriate. It did not warrant her talking about her former husband when she was announcing this creep to the stage to say how she sees similarities of her husband and him. Now, of course, there are going to be the people who are going to talk about, oh, she was just talking about from the leadership standpoint, and she's talking about turning point. She's not talking about personal aspects when it comes to a relationship or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Now, here we have these before and after clips of him, mind you, him talking about her beliefs, her religion, and her faith.
Tell me about y'all's faith.
I had never been baptized. Even though I was raised Christian, I'd never been baptized. So I was baptized the first time in 2018, I think. It's funny, Usha was not raised Christian, is actually not Christian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I remember when I started to re-engage with my own faith, Usha was like very supportive.
Usha, why were you so supportive?
There are a few different reasons. One is that I did grow up in a religious household. My parents are Hindu, and that was one of the things that made them such good parents, that make them really very good people. And so I think I've seen the power of that in my own life. And I knew that JD was searching for something. This just felt right for him.
How do y'all merge two different faiths while still raising your children?
There are a lot of things that we just agree on, I think, especially when it comes to family life, how to raise our kids. And so I think the answer really is we just talk a lot.
Tell me about y'all's faith.
So you hear that, right? And then here we are in present time.
And yes, my wife did not grow up Christian. I think it's fair to say that she grew up in a Hindu family, but not a particularly religious family in either direction. In fact, when I met my wife, we were both, I would consider myself an agnostic or an atheist, and that's what I think she would have considered herself as well. You know, everybody has to come to their own arrangement here. The way that we've come to our arrangement is she's my best friend. We talk to each other about this stuff. So we decided to raise our kids Christian. Our two oldest kids who go to school, they go to a Christian school. Our 8-year-old did his first communion about a year ago. That's the way that we have come to our arrangement. But thank you. My 8-year-old was also very proud of his first communion. Thank you, guys. I'll tell him that Ole Miss wishes him the best. But I think everybody has to have this own conversation when you're in a marriage. I mean, it's true for friends of mine who are in Protestant and Catholic marriages, friends of mine who are in, atheist and Christian marriages. You just got to talk to the only advice I can give is you just got to talk to the person that God has put you with, and you've got to make those decisions as a family unit. For us, it works out. Now, most Sundays, Usha will come with me to church. As I've told her, and I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will. And so that doesn't cause a problem for me. That's something you work out with your friends, with your family, with the person that you love. Again, one of the most important Christian principles is that you respect free will. Usha's closer to the priest who baptized me than maybe I am. They talk about this stuff. My attitude is you figure this stuff out as a family, and you trust in God to have a plan, and you try to follow it as best as you can. And that's what I try to do. And yes,
Listen, I don't even know if this is his wife, because to me, that doesn't even look like her.
I had never been baptized.
Look at that. So it's like, did they find some Hindu woman in this in this crowd to compare her to? Because to me, look at her face. This woman's face right here versus
wife did not grow up.
This person. That's not his wife. So it's like, what did they do? Did they find some other Hindu woman in the crowd to put the camera on? To me, that was a bit weird. But either way, it's just the fact that she was crushing all over him. I believe he could see himself with somebody like Erika Kirk. And to be honest with you, she looks more like the type that he would go for and prefer versus the woman that he is married to right now. I'm just being real. So I'm not saying that they actually are doing something. What I am saying is I would not be surprised if they were doing something. And if it hasn't jumped off yet, I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually does. The way she was hugging all over 45/47 at that memorial, which to me, maybe she was breathing through her mouth and not through her nose, because I heard the man is funky. But hey, I could see her being with JD. I could. And all the backlash that she's faced for the public behavior following her husband's death, and then this latest situation, it's definitely not helping the optics. So whether it's admiration, it's ambition, or attraction, one thing definitely is clear: people are watching closely, and it's exposing these blurred lines between their so-called faith, this dirty, crooked politics, and the personal boundaries. So guys, I want to know what you think about all of this. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.